Hello and welcome to That Board Game Show podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 2. I'm Sonia Wood.
And I'm James Wood.
And we are here sharing with you from our Collector's Corner. And
talking all about our board game collection.
yes, in Episode 1 we told you how that got started and of the Season 2, Episode 1.
Season 2 of the podcast is going to be all about
Collector's Corners.
One unique difference, if you are listening to this podcast, we are filming this podcast now. So we may be talking about things that we can show on video that you maybe can't see whilst listening. You can't quite see with your ears.
No. Some
So
people
if
can.
you want to see what we're talking about, you can head over to our YouTube channel, That Board Game Show on YouTube, and watch the videos there. Or alternatively, we will do our best to keep the dialogue and explain what we're showing and talking about as we go.
For example, I am picking up this little tray of minis,
Which we
That
need
are-
to put over here. So
which
that
are part
overhead camera can see them.
of Lord of the Rings Journeys.
Journeys in Middle-earth.
So if you're just listening, I'm going to ask you to please go take a look, because look at this. The minis are amazing. I mean, look at this one. This one is incredible. What is this one called, Jamie?
That is the Balrog.
The Balrog.
So for the listeners out
Can't get
there,
them out.
Mom is trying to peel the Balrog out of the little 3D printed tray I made. And this is Journeys in Middle-earth, designed by, the Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, designed by Nathan Hajek or something to that effect, and Grace Holdinghaus, and published by Fantasy Flight Games, a fully cooperative campaign game for 1 to 5 players. And set in the world of the Lord of the Rings. It doesn't follow any of the Lord of the Rings narrative. It doesn't follow the story of the books. It is unique, independent stories told within Middle-earth. I believe it takes place in the world of Lord of the Rings. It takes place between the event, in the time period between the end of The Hobbit and the beginning of the Lord of the Rings.
That's this game.
That's this game. So
Yeah.
that's when this all takes place. So that gives them a little bit of creative freedom to tell their own stories with the campaign, as opposed to sticking to the canon of the Lord of the Rings narrative.
Okay. And you did these, you printed these out on the 3D printer,
Yeah,
didn't
so
you?
I've printed out a whole bunch of little add-ons and tokens, because in traditional Fantasy Flight Games style, this massive box containing the game came with a cardboard trench, lack of insert. So I have been furiously printing with my little baby 3D printer.
Look at
and
that.
making token trays and holders and terrain pieces as well, because the base game comes with cardboard little printed flat terrain to represent rivers and barrels and
Well,
tables.
look at these barrels that you printed. I know I keep saying look at, so
Mom keeps forgetting that this is also a podcast.
this is a podcast, yes. I'm telling you all about this, these little barrels. Look at that. I mean, this was printed on a 3D printer. I'm impressed with this 3D printing and all that. Also the painting, because, I mean, across the front here we've got our heroes, and here is Gandalf the Great.
Gandalf the Grey,
Gandalf
before
the
he
Grey.
turned white.
Isn't he gorgeous? I mean, the detail. This is why we love being collectors, because
so this
look.
is the collector part of the hobby.
Yes.
Anyone who plays any kind of miniatures games will identify with this. The painting, the collecting, the building. That's a huge part of this collection. So, this narrative campaign game that came with grey plastic minis. We have on the table here in front of us, for those of you watching, we do have the Shadowed Paths expansion content muddled in. So this is not just the base game you're seeing here. We have miniatures and tokens and things from the first expansion. I have yet to acquire the second expansion, but it's on the list.
On the hopeful list.
On the hopeful list.
We haven't got it yet.
It's not quite on its way.
Is it available to get?
I don't know, actually. I haven't checked in a while. I kind of missed the initial launch, so I'll have to do some digging. So yeah, basically this game is all about adventuring and exploring in Middle-earth. It's very much a RPG in a box, is the best way I can describe it. It feels very RPG-like. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to pick a character. You can pick a lot of the standards. You've got your Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, Frodo. Oh, no, wait, you don't have Frodo. Bilbo. Yeah, because Frodo was about 3 in the time period of this. So, or
So
not
we've
even
only
born
got
yet.
Bilbo.
So we've only got Bilbo. I think he's the only Hobbit we have, actually. But basically, there
He's
are
there in
the main characters. You can see them on our close-up camera. Or you can Google them if you're very interested.
But then they
And-
won't see the nice painting.
No.
What do we
They'll
do
see
when-
some people's nice painting,
Yeah, but
just not mine.
What do we do when we're painting minis? We listen to audiobooks.
Yeah. So
We also
unfortunately,
collectors of
when we were
audiobooks.
when we were painting these minis, we didn't yet have the Lord of the Rings audiobook.
We had to wait for
So-
Andy Serkis to do that.
So
for
we
us.
painted other minis while listening to the Lord of the Rings audiobook.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, basically in the game you're going to take on a character. So you pick Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, etc. They have a few unique characters, ones that are not in the books, that they have created for the game. And you're going to take that character and go on adventures with them. You're going to go on a campaign. This entire thing is driven by an app. So there is a companion app that you have to use to play the game because that is what runs the campaign. The app is your GM. It's what gives you the story. It's what tells you where to put the map tiles, where to spawn the enemies. It runs all the enemies,
The app
all
does
the
that.
encounters. Yeah.
And we listen and we follow.
Yeah,
And
so you
we've
get a
done
bit of
all the
story.
campaigns, haven't we?
No, not quite. So we've
I thought we
done...
had finished them all.
No, we've finished...
I'm
The
inspired
base
now.
game came with 2 campaigns in the app. So basically, with the app, you tell the app what content you have. So when you load up the app, you say if you've got the base game or if you've got the expansion, and then that informs the app what campaigns are available to you based on the physical components you have.
Right.
So with the base game, there's 2 campaigns out of the box. One is free, one is a paid-for in-app purchase. Then in the Shadowed Paths expansion, you got 2 more. Again, one was free, one was a paid-for in-app purchase. And we have played through the 2 from the base game and 1 from the Shadowed Paths. We've played through those
And how many in
3
Shadowed
full
Paths?
campaigns. 2.
And we've only played one.
We've
So
only
we've
played
only
one
got
of them.
one more campaign to go with this.
With the content we have. And then
Okay.
the second expansion added, I think, 2 more.
And
So
you see,
basically it was
that's the
2
expansion
campaigns
we don't-
per...
That's the expansion we don't have yet.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to have to fix that, aren't we?
one day. It did kind of get relegated to the shelf for a while because we have played through those 3 full campaigns. So that was a
More
good,
than once?
like 60, 70 plus hours of Journeys of Middle-earth
We are
adventuring.
committed.
So we figured, okay, fine, let's give other games a turn on the table. And that's why we haven't taken the plunge on the second expansion as yet.
So I just want to talk to them a little bit more, Jamie, about these amazing 3D printed inserts. If you really want all your bits to stay nicely together, I mean, just look at this. You know?
Again, sorry to the listeners out there.
No, I'm just going to ask the listeners to go look at the video because it's really worth it, I think, because this is an inspiration. If you didn't have a 3D printer, I mean, you got the real basic beginner 3D
Yeah,
printer.
it's a Ender 3V2 for anyone out there who knows 3D printers. It's
And
a
this
very
is-
beginner entry-level type one. It's not like the most basic, but it's
But look
right at the beginning.
what you can produce. You've printed that. Is this the lid for it?
Yep. It's meant to have other way around.
Other way around.
Nope, other way
What's the
around.
idea
Nope,
of those?
that?
Oh, look at that.
So it's
I'm
meant to have
glad,
magnets in it so it snaps on.
Oh, I hope the camera can pick up this.
If it can't, and for those listening, it is the Tree of Gondor has been like etched onto the lid of the little token tray.
Just you see, that's
So-
why, again, that's why we collectors, because this it's just so beautiful.
And thank you to, I will put a link in the description to the Thingiverse files for this insert because
person
I
who-
can take no credit for creating it. All I did was download it and click print.
Yeah, so thank you to the designer,
Yeah,
creator.
I do not
person.
remember their
Thank
name
you,
offhand.
thank you.
Apologies for that, but
You
they
can
are
try
brilliant.
and find it and put it in the
Yeah,
description.
I'll drop it in the show notes, description, whatever.
And look at these tile pieces. Just look. I mean, everyone is unique and different. And
Yep.
because we played it so much, when I just glance at that, I can.
Yeah, memories
recall,
flood back.
whoa,
And
yes, all the memories.
you remember which orcs pounced at you from behind that castle wall. And
So what you're saying is all these minis that are out here and all of these bits are all to do with this. So
everything
our other
on the table
games,
is
we don't
currently
use this.
Journeys of Middle-earth.
Okay.
So I have also 3D printed a whole bunch of terrain. So if you're watching, you can see
I can show them the terrain.
I've got little walls, and we've got barrels and little statues, and these are all extras that I printed out.
And little bushes.
Again, I'll leave links to the printable files in the description.
And thank you to the creator. And look here, I want to show you. This was blue filament, you see?
Further down.
This is blue filament. This is what it was printed.
Mm-hmm.
And look, painted to turn into
Power of paint.
a bush.
Take a blue blob and turn it into
This
a
is
bush.
A bush on the board. So it's an obstacle.
Yeah, most of the terrain they're inside the box at the moment. You have basically two phases in the game. You've got the exploration phase, where you use sort of zoomed out map tiles, like a hex map, but not hexes, where you just move from sector to sector and explore and interact with different things, and that's what you're going to pick up, like story points and that kind of thing. And then there's a second phase, that's the battle phase. And then you've got two battle map boards that are like a more zoomed in. So you've got the exploration, the world map. So you're on this,
And
this
it's like
big
you
zoomed
arrive at
out
the
and you're
tavern and then you
exploring.
go into
And then
it.
you go to what's a little picture of a tavern on that's like
On
1
here.
centimeter squared on the map.
Yes.
And then, okay, now you go into that tavern, and now
All of a
you
sudden-
build out your battle map, and that's where you use the terrain pieces. That's where you use your barrels and your tables and all the add-ons that I've printed.
And as you can tell, Jamie has got all the mechanisms of all of this in his mind. And what I have is I enjoy playing the game. And I enjoy all the little minis and looking at them and the detail. And I appreciate it. And I love being a collector of all these little bits. It's like collecting figurines for
Yeah.
me. That's how I see it.
And what I love about this is you're collecting figurines, which is very nice, and they're functional because they're used in a game system.
That's right. They're not just
They're
sitting
not
in a
just
cabinet.
figurines to sit on a cabinet and look pretty. Although, admittedly, these have been doing that for a couple of years.
Well, that's because we've finished playing with them. So when we look at them, it's not just, we're not just looking at something that we thought was nice and acquired it because we're collectors. But as
Yeah.
you say, they've got a practical function.
And
They've
then
had their function.
Delving deeper into that, I recently discovered something called Rangers of Shadowdeep, which is a tactical miniatures skirmish type
we don't
game.
have that game.
We don't have that. Well, we do because I've bought the PDF rulebook for it, which is kind of all you need because what it says is basically it's a rule set that you're buying, and then you use whatever miniatures you have.
Wow.
So now you can say, okay, well, we've played all the campaigns in here. We
So if
don't
it
really
says
want to play that story again.
The big
necessarily.
monster comes out with his club.
So now you can
use
play
your-
a different miniatures game that is sort of world agnostic. And you can just take all these miniatures. You can take your wolves and you can take your statues and you can take your bushes and you can use all of that stuff
in your story.
in a different game now. One thing about Journeys of Middle-earth that I have to say is I really appreciate how Fantasy Flight has done the rulebook. Because what they've done is they've got a learn-to-play guide, a learn-to-play book, that is like a tutorial. It takes you through step by step. This is what you do, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, So it's fantastic for learning the game. Makes it very easy to dive into. And then in addition to that, they have a rules reference guide, which is just
Very helpful.
an indexed, alphabetized, all the rules, just printed
So
out
helpful.
in a manual. So now when you're playing the game, you've played through the tutorial, You've played through a few chapters of the campaign. You know what you're doing. But now a little rules question comes up. You're not sure about something. How did this work?
You go to the index.
You go to the index. You see, how does an encounter work? Go to encounter. Boom. There's the encounter rules. Nice and neat and tidy and easy. So that is something that I really appreciated during our time playing this.
Well, you would, because you're the rules guy and you like the rules book. I don't even open it, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that you do that part.
I'm the rules nerd in the family who spends hours combing through the books and
Yeah.
watching the tutorials. And
We get a game, we open it, and then Jamie disappears with the rule book. And you see him a little while later, and he's got the game all set up. Aren't I spoiled? He has the game all set up and all ready, and all I have to do is come to the table and play the game.
Yeah, so that is Journeys in Middle-earth. I think that gives that's a pretty brief run through. We can't really go into too much detail without spoiling stuff
No,
for
we
people.
don't want to spoil it for people.
So if what we have said has tickled your fancy or intrigued you sufficiently, then feel free to head out, and other people have done fantastic reviews and things
You
for
haven't
this
done a
game.
review
I have
for
not
this
done
one?
a game video for
Oh,
this
I
game
mean, an explainer.
because I do explainer tutorial how to play type things, and I do that by playing the game, which would spoil the first chapter of the campaign.
And so this isn't going to get an explainer video.
Unless people let me know in the comments below that
they
you want
want
that and you don't mind spoilers for chapter 1 of the campaign, I'm happy to throw it on the table and
Video playing it.
dust off my
Do the explainer for it.
skills in this little world and see if I can take you through it. But as I said, that existing how to play guide I think is excellent.
And that's all they need. Well, we managed with that. And the app is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very good app.
Okay, so that is episode 2 of our Collector's
Our
Corner.
Collector's Corner series on That Board Game Show podcast.
So I'm off to make tea. And so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you watched this one. If you didn't, I hope you do. And bye for now.
And I shall say thank you ever so much for listening/watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And remember to spread the joy of tabletop gaming.